The United Nations, as we know it, is effectively dead. Last week in Davos, Donald Trump didn't just attack the dying globalist order, he replaced it on the spot. While the media is busy sowing panic, claiming Trump is wrecking world stability, or running hit pieces like this Economist cover of a bare-chested Trump riding a Russian bear, the reality is much simpler. Trump is demanding that the globalist elites join him in settling conflicts based on the American foreign policy principles set forth in his new national security strategy. Trump calls it the Board of Peace, and it is dedicated to doing exactly what the UN has failed to do for 80 years. Watch Secretary of State Rubio explain the new reality.
This is not just a board of peace, this is a board of action. Just like President Trump is a president of action. Oftentimes in international affairs, we often find ourselves at events where people are reading these scripted statements, these strongly worded letters that they put out, but no action, nothing happens. This is a group of leaders that are about action. And the President of the United States is a president of action, of getting things done. And today is the beginning of that, of a new era and a new stage that we think is so important as a model to the rest of the world of what is possible. And clearly the focus is right now on Gaza and making sure that the plan that's about to be presented to you here today, this vision for the future of Gaza, this vision for the future of the region, is not just possible and promising. It is our destiny if we put the time and the effort that it requires, as I know this board will do. This is what's possible for other places and other conflicts that seem impossible to solve right now.
That signing ceremony was the final nail in the coffin of the globalist order. At Davos, Trump and his cabinet gave the Europeans a stark choice. We, the globalist institutions of the last 4 decades, or the United States pulls its military and other support. I'm Barbara Boyd. Since 1971, I've documented the British Empire's war against our republic. Today, we're going to look at the Board of Peace. Then we'll place this groundbreaking development in its historical context, including the now 10-year war the globalists have waged to destroy President Trump and his America First movement. If this resonates with you, drop a like on YouTube and share this video. It helps us expand our reach. The initial task of the new Board of Peace is implementing peace in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Here's Jared Kushner talking about the president's unique approach.
And then finally, I'll just talk to people on the media and on the social media, which is this deal only happened because we worked with Israel, we worked with Turkey, we worked with Qatar, we worked with Saudi, we worked with Egypt. I mean, everyone worked together. We worked with UAE. We all worked together to make this happen. I see a lot of people trying to escalate, criticizing Israel or Israelis criticizing Turkey or Qatar. Just calm down for 30 days. I think that the war is over. Let's do our best to try working together. Our goal here is peace between Israel and the Palestinian people. Everyone wants to live peacefully. Everyone wants to live with dignity. Let's focus on the positive stories and let's just calm down, turn a new chapter. And if we believe that peace is possible, then peace really can be possible. And again, I just really want to thank President Trump for his leadership in doing this. This would not have been possible without your commitment to this. Everyone thought it was impossible to end this war. You never gave up. You never stopped. Every time there was a setback, you told us to try harder. You gave us different ideas. And we've made several impossible things happen just in Gaza to date. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to make even more impossible things happen. So really, thank you for your amazing leadership.
Every significant player in the Middle East is being co-opted by Trump to participate in Gaza's reconstruction and economic development, just as they were consulted and utilized by the president in bringing about the peace. For decades, this religious war continued because diplomacy was only focused on the Israeli and Palestinian combatants. The United Nations, well, that has become a globalist enforcement arm, pushing climate hysteria, green finance, and similar population control measures. Aside from that, the UN functioned as a leaderless forum for endless speeches, just like Marco Rubio said. Not only that, the endless religious warfare in the Middle East allowed for Anglo-American control of the world's oil trade. It was a critical feature of their system. Trump began his quest for peace in the Middle East in his first term. He collaborated with a new generation of young leaders in the Gulf states to bring the Abraham Accords into being. For the first time, those accords recognized the state of Israel while detailing a broad plan for economic development of the entire region. not just the Palestinian areas of Israel. Even then, though, economic development plans for Gaza and the West Bank were drafted already back in 2020 and ready for shovels in the ground. But the rigged 2020 election ended all of that. In addition to countries in the Middle East, China, Russia, India, and even the Pope have all been asked to join the Board of Peace. After meeting with Palestinian President Abbas on Thursday in Moscow, President Putin said Russia would donate $1 billion of its frozen assets in Europe to the Peace Board, with the balance going to reconstruction of Ukraine once that war ends. Putin also met with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner about the Ukraine war on Thursday. On Friday, the first trilateral peace talks between Russia, Ukraine, and the United States kicked off in Abu Dhabi. It's obvious that Putin, Trump, and other members of the President's Board of Peace have been in deep and sustained collaboration to bring an end to both conflicts. That's what has the Brits, the Europeans, and our native U.S. globalists panicked. They convened an emergency EU summit Thursday and convinced themselves that coordinated resistance with their allies in the U.S. had caused Trump to back down and reverse course on Greenland. As usual, they completely misread Trump. The president wants a permanent and viable U.S. defense presence in Greenland. It is essential for the modern drone and other space-based and missile warfare and defense now being conducted or built. He has been broaching the topic for months, only to be blown off by the Danes and the Canadians. Given the royal and imperial pretensions of both the Danes and their British masters, that necessary U.S. presence and freedom of action were not going to be offered. By going to the mat outside of all the rules of formal diplomacy, the president once again got what he wanted through what the Europeans call bullying. Obviously, the media has launched a blizzard of lies about all of this. If you become a paid subscriber to our newsletter, you'll get a whole lot more of our coverage, plus links to our research, so that you can get a bigger dose of the truth and tell your friends and neighbors about it. You can use the link in the description to subscribe. Now, concerning the historical context. In the book, As He Saw It, Eleanor Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt's son, recounted an argument between his father and Winston Churchill in March of 1941. The argument was about the shape of the world after the Second World War. Roosevelt was determined to uproot the colonial looting regime, which was the British Empire, and replace it with American methods of economic development. Here's Eleanor Roosevelt's account of the argument, starting with FDR's challenge to Churchill. FDR: I'm firmly of the belief that if we are to arrive at a stable peace, it must involve the development of backward countries, backward peoples. How can this be done? It can't be done, obviously, by 18th century methods. Now, Churchill interrupts, who's talking about 18th century methods? Roosevelt: whichever of your ministers recommends a policy which takes wealth in raw materials out of a colonial country, but which returns nothing to the people of that country in consideration. 20th century methods involve bringing industry to these colonies. 20th century methods include increasing the wealth of a people by increasing their standard of living, by educating them, by bringing them sanitation, by making sure they get a return for the raw wealth of their community. He went on, the peace, Roosevelt said firmly, cannot include any continued despotism. The structure of the peace demands and will get equality of peoples. Equality of peoples involves the utmost freedom of competitive trade. In 1943, despite the formal alliance between Russia and the Empire against Hitler, the British were already campaigning to conquer Russia as the next imperial looting ground and also to subvert the United States. That project almost came to fruition with the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and, secondarily, with the installation of Joe Biden as President of the United States. It is the cause of the Ukraine war. So when you hear someone say that Donald Trump is destroying the post-war rules-based order, this argument is what they are referring to, and they are taking Churchill's side. When Donald Trump rode down the escalator in 2015, they were already mobilized against him because of the leadership and creative qualities of mind Jared Kushner referred to in his presentation on the Board of Peace. If you review the history, you'll see that British agents, from Christopher Steele to Richard Dearlove to George Soros, were the real drivers in the 10-year coup against Trump and the United States. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton were their patsies. Not only that, President Trump and his cabinet are steeped in the American System School of Economics, which represents a direct and deadly challenge to the globalists. Google any mainstream media source today and you'll see the globalist response. Chaos and insurrection in blue states, every possible effort to stall the U.S. economy, potentials for manipulation of the time bombs by the left in the economy, like private credit. That's accompanied by endless cyber op attacks on the White House designed to demoralize Trump supporters, split the coalition which elected him, particularly former Democrats, young people, and minorities who flocked to Trump in November of 2024. At Promethean Action, we're dedicated to exposing all of that and bringing Trump's real intent and policy home to the voters. We're dedicated to a landslide win in the midterms. That's what we're operating on now. That's our perspective, and we need to expand. Please donate as much as you can to help us grow to the next level of YouTube subscribers, 500,000, as quickly as possible. Thanks for listening. Susan will be with you on Monday.
Thanks for watching. Please take a moment and subscribe to our free newsletter at prometheanaction.com.